Howdy folks, and welcome to 15 Nautical Mile Arc. Today we are going to embark on our third and final leg of our trip with the Marvin Windows livery in the B1900D. This will complete the 3 routes that Marvin Windows takes in real life. However, I did discover the other day that they've added a 4th leg since they have 2 planes right now going out to Bismarck. I'm not sure I'm going to fly that one though. I've never seen them go there more than this one time, but perhaps if that's a regular trip, then we'll add that. I finally got my new tail number on this aircraft, November 660 Mike Whiskey. If you recall from leg 1, when I went into extremely long detail and introduction, I mentioned that there are 2 aircraft now from Marvin Windows, and the D is 660 while the C is 640. And I finally updated that, and look for that on the forum soon. I'll update as version 1.2 or something, but I just have to get it up there. Alright, so we are at Hector International-Fargo, North Dakota. It's a blank airport. I have not gotten around to modeling this one yet, but we're going to fly back to Minneapolis today, KMSP, which is Minneapolis-St. Paul Wold Chamberlain International Airport. You rarely hear us locals talk about Wold Chamberlain. We just say the airport, or KMSP, or Minneapolis-St. Paul, or whatever. So that's the full name for that one. So, running few clouds today using SkyMaxx Pro version 3.2, and we will have an airport in Minneapolis, and we will have VFR quality scenery add-ons when we get to Minneapolis. But you can check out leg 1 of these 3 legs if you want detail on that. So, we're just going to hop on in and get going as soon as possible here. I actually don't know how long this flight is. I forgot to check, but it shouldn't be terribly long. It should be the shortest of the 3, I think. Real life, it's a solid 4-hour drive. Flight time, we'll find out. Just like the first leg, I'll post the flight time when we land because I couldn't find a stopwatch in this clock. Alright, so we'll head on in. First thing we're going to do is we're going to shut our baggage door, passenger door, and our cockpit door behind us. Oops, a little too far. Yes, this is my frame rate killer aircraft. I call it the frame rate killer anyway. Alright, I already turned on the lights for passenger boarding and the emergency lights. We can turn that off now. We'll keep the rest on. We'll turn fasten seatbelt. Well, we might keep fasten seatbelt on the entire time. It's not modeled anyway. But I will hopefully remember to turn these off at the appropriate time this time instead of too early. We are going to turn on our lights. Now, I finally looked up the recognition lights, and like everything else on the internet, you get varying information. Some pilots say they're always required to have them on below 18,000 feet. Other pilots say they're always on. Other pilots say they only turn them on if their landing lights are on. Some people say they turn them on if their taxi lights are on. It's just the colored lights that tell you where you are. So I'm just going to turn them on now. Good old internet, right? I think a lot of that is if you work for different companies, you have different rules. Alright, here's my flight plan. Move that over. Alright, here's my startup checklist. First thing I'm going to do is get the right kind of fuel in here. I don't know really how long this flight is. In fact, I might leave the fuel the way it is now. Let's say it's 55 or 56 minutes, plus reserves, plus my unprofessional quality flying. I'm just going to keep this cranked up a little bit. Hour and 3/4. 1983, good year. I was born way before that, though. Leave that there. I apologize. I have not yet looked up the fuel. I went through the checklists that Carenado provides in documentation. I didn't see any reference to turning on this fuel or anything, so I have more research to do before I turn on this fuel and mess with it. Those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, in the previous 2 legs, I talked about how when you set fuel, it never moves. It'll shoot up to whatever I put my fuel and weight to, but it will never come down no matter how far I fly. So I'm assuming I have to do something here to trigger the fuel consumption. I'm guessing it's like this, maybe, but it's not auxiliary, and these are auxiliary up here, so I have no idea. I could probably mess with it and figure it out. I might have to do that since I didn't find anything specific to that. But anyway, let's get going here and get this thing started up. It is midday today, no special sunsets or sunrises. I've been doing so many sunset flights that I think it'd be kind of nice to have a noon midday flight. Alright, I already did my static elements too, right? No, static elements have to come up. Already messed with the cabin lights. We're going to turn on the rest of the cabin lights now. Kill my frame rates even more. How about that? Whoop, we can turn that to normal again. Come back down here, actually. External power was on to turn on the lights for boarding. Now we'll turn on the battery, and then we'll turn on our avionics. And then we already did our nav lights, and then we'll do our FIS with the weird screwed up, whatever you call it. There we go. And we'll do our flight plan. We do have a flight plan, obviously, since we're mimicking a commercial flight. First thing we need to do is clear this flight plan. I think it's up. There we go. Enter. There we go. I think we push and then we go up. Alright, flight plan. We're starting out at a KFAR, but we're not going to put that in here because I want to do direct from wherever the airplane is sitting. So our first waypoint is Weirdo. Weirdo? I don't know. But anyway, we're going to put that in there. Every video I do this, I talk about how in the United States these waypoints mean something to the local area. And I really don't know most of the time what it means. Every once in a while I'll run into one I know. Like our first leg of this trip, we had Blue Ox over Bemidji for Babe the Blue Ox. That was pretty easy. Our Lake Superior tour, we had home of Cirrus for Duluth International, because that's where Cirrus is headquartered. And those of you who watch all my videos have heard these stories before, but I try to accommodate my regular viewers as well as people who have never seen me fly before. There we go, wordy. And in the comments, if you know what these waypoints mean, please write it out and tell me. It'll be fun to know. Alright, our next waypoint is Peyton. I assume this is for Peyton Manning, the football player who played for the Vikings at some time, because this Peyton is kind of nearish Lake Minnetonka, which is where all like football players live and stuff like that. So I'm assuming Peyton is for Peyton Manning. It's spelled completely wrong, of course, because you only have 5 letters you can use. But there we go, P-A-E. See, I almost spelled it the correct way. It's not. It's, whoops, Papa Alpha Echo. Echo Tango, right? Yep, Tango November. Oh, geez, come on. No. Again, it's that Cinema Verte, which gives you a shaky camera, which looks awesome for you guys, but it's a pain in the butt to work with because my scroll wheel moves around. All right. Peyton, there you go. All right, so then after that, we will catch the ILS at Kins. Again, don't know what that means, but it's Kilo Kins. And then from there we land at KMSP. This brings up a point I wanted to talk about. I was going to talk about it in the air, but I'll talk about it right now. KMSP. Locally, y'all getting these debates with people about what city is the airport in. Well, first of all, there's a law in Minnesota that states airports belong to the county. They do not belong to a city. So it doesn't belong to a city. But the locals still want to claim their city owns the airport. So some people will say Minneapolis, some will say Bloomington, some will say Richfield. And officially, before the law was made saying it's only county, the official location of the KMSP airport was the unincorporated township of Fort Snelling. And I'm not going to bother citing that source. If you care enough, you can Google it yourself. But so that is where it is, the unincorporated township of Fort Snelling. It's on Fort Snelling's property, basically, which is a government property. But technically, based on Minnesota law, it is owned by the county, which is Hennepin County, and it does not reside in the city. So there you go, folks. I have a lot of locals watch my videos, by the way. A lot of Minneapolis locals. So there you go. If you don't believe me, you can Google it yourself. It is very difficult to find. All right. So we got some more work to do here. I don't have an approach plan put in here. So we are going to use ILS. We're going to land on 12 right, by the way. So we're going to use 110.3. There we go. If you remember, you got to go the right way or it's going to just put it in memory. There we go. 110.3 there. I'm also going to put it here. It's supposed to go here for ILS. Whoops, I got to switch that anyway. 110.3. Yes, yeah, that's right. We're going to switch it. There we go. 110. See, not right now it's picking up something else because they reuse frequencies. Anyway, 110.3, 110.3. That's for the ILS. Our heading will be 121 degrees. And I need to switch that. Let me see if I can get this autopilot. See, the problem is if you watch, for example, watch the pink thing. If I try to move this, it just jumps. See that? Because the weird autopilot issue I have. Let's see if I can do 121. See, it's just all over the place. See that? That's completely pointless. So we have to come down here. And switch it to 121 this way, which is going to be like this a little bit. And 121. I also want to put my heading bug at 121 because I like to see that bright pink thing. So if something happens or I decide to fly manually or we're going to have a look around or whatever, I can just look at that pink thing. 189, we're almost there. And that should be 121 right there. And for the purists, normally we wouldn't do this. What we would do is we would turn autopilot and let air traffic control where we're going for our vectors, and then we would either set our heading bug or however they would tell us what to do. So we wouldn't set it this early, but it's a really early, or it's a really short flight, so I just want to do it now. Otherwise, like I said, air traffic control would tell us where to go. We'd set our heading bug until we join our plan, switch over to GPS, blah, 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 blah. And that reminds me, we have to go direct, because we don't have air traffic control to tell us how to get to this point. So for the sake of argument, we'll just direct to it, and then we come back here, and there we go. That's how we're going to get there, since we have air traffic control. Otherwise, that's all set. Localizer is set. Again, you normally don't set your localizer this early because they could change the airport you're going to land at, right? The weather can change. But this is such a short flight. I'm just going to set it all up now and not worry about it. And these are set to nav, and that's set for the reasons I already gave. Only thing left now should be autopilot. I believe. No, that comes later. Sorry. After you start. As far as flight plan, I guess I was trying to say is we're going to fly at 16,000 feet. I'm going to do this now, and then, whoops. No, I'm not. There we go. 16,000 feet. And then we need to be down to 7,000 by Peyton. And I calculated that's about 6 to 7 minutes out. We'll start coming down. So 7,000 by Peyton. And then we'll reset. Well, reset at 7,000. Then once we get to Peyton, we'll reset this to 3,000. And at Kinnis, we'll grab our ILS. And when we get to Kinnis, hopefully we'll be at 3,000. I'll switch this over to VLOC. That's already set to the ILS. And then I'll hit approach. And then when I'm done being a wimp, I will take manual control and land this thing. The last two landings went great. Kind of popped Willie down the runway because I had plenty of room to roll out, but maybe I can be a little more realistic on getting that nose gear down. Airport 842 feet above ground level, runway 12 right. We already talked about that. 121 degrees. Again, normally you don't talk about this early. It's just such a short flight that I just wanted to take care of that now. Alright, now we can start the engines before we drain our battery here. So we already have our prop levers to feather. We all set this stuff off camera where I have to reset all that stuff. Oh yeah, trim. Let's see. I keep getting conflicting information where this trim should be based on the startup checklist I found by Carenado versus my experience, but whatever, close enough. Alright, we are ready to start the engines. So what we're going to do, we're going to pop back over here. We're going to turn on this. We're going to turn off that. And we're going to start the engine. Wait till the turbine gets to about 15%. Then we're going to introduce fuel. I do that via my yoke. I only have one axis for both engines though, so that automatically puts up fuel for the other engine. But whatever. Do what we can. Alright, fuel in. And it's climbing up there. And I guess we can watch the prop spin up. And we're spinning. Let's hop back in and do the other one. Arm it. Hold it till 15%, and then I can just let go this time since my fuel's already in. 15 there, and I'll turn on my generators too. Charge up that battery. AC bus, turn those on. Air bleed valves over here by the co-pilot. 40 degrees it says. Obviously that's not real world temperature. It'd be like 150 in here right now. It's no summer. Turn that on. Let's turn that on auto. Turn that up. How far does that go? Auto temp, increment, auto temp, whatever. You can play with that stuff if you want to. Just like you can play with cabin pressure if you want to, but I'm down here for the rudder boost. Alright, climate, cabin pressure, auto feather, come over here. Auto feather the arm. Generator ties closed. Prop sync on. And we are ready to go. Trimmed already. Set autopilot. Let's set our autopilot. I already did 16,000 there. And we'll be climbing straight out. So all we need to do is open up autopilot. And we're going to do nav. So it follows our GPS. And we're going to climb at about 2,200 feet per minute. Vertical speed, alt select. Nav. And that's all we need to do. So we'll taxi out of here. And the only thing we really need to worry about is descent, which will be very, very soon. No weather to worry about, otherwise it would show up right here. In fact, I want to change that. What do I like to do here? I like to do that. You have a couple options here. You can declutter if you want to. Weather is automatically on. No terrain though. On that is not modeled. Let's get some taxi lights going, and I think we can get out of here. Everything else is on the way I want it. If I remember, I'm going to turn these off at the hold point of the runway. Let's see if I remember. I doubt it. Alright, props. You can hear it change sound. Get ready to taxi there. We're going to basically, well, we have to burn a U-turn here. Pretty tight U-turn. And then we're going to make a right, then a left, and then we'll be at the runway. So, parking brake off. Let's get rolling. Hopefully I can burn a U-turn here. There we go. Yeah, no problem. Oh, no. Turned a little too much. There we go. There we go. Watch out for other imaginary aircraft that are not there. I used to fly with AI traffic, but to be fun, you'd have to crank up the number of airplanes, but then you end up sitting waiting behind airplanes all the time, so I just stopped doing that. There we go. I would imagine there's like jetways here or buildings here. I can't imagine the taxiway is this wide. However, given that you're parking, you may have double wide for two airplanes to pass through. I don't know. I don't know this airport that well. And then I do have cloud shadows turned on. That's why they look kind of dark right now. They're casting shadows on themselves. So they look like default clouds right now, kind of, because of that coloring. But once we get in the air, you'll see that in SkyMaxx Pro. I've just noticed with cloud shadows turned on. Oh, birds. I hope we don't get a bird strike. See the birds up there in the upper right? Anyway, with cloud shadows turned on, it casts shadows among themselves, and then they look like default clouds. Which I used to love until I started playing with the SkyMaxx Pro. What a difference. Now, if I remember right, this is the weight at 1.8. We're taking off on 1.8. Alright, come back here. Yep, it'll be 1.8. This is the other runway. Yes, we're taxiing at 40 knots. It's just whatever. In fact, you know what? I'll just meet you at the hold point for the runway. Alright, we're coming up to the hold point of runway 18, except there are lights in the way. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever fly here again. If I would fly here again, I'm going to make sure the airport's modeled first. So that's kind of silly. what I'm guessing, well, this is a 2D airport, so somebody put the taxiways in the right spot. I was thinking, I mean, you would have lights there. You really would. So either the taxiways are in the wrong spot, or you just can't get to here from there, and you would go to the next taxiway. But that'd be quite a ways down the runway. You might be able to take off. Anyway, I find that very curious. I might actually do some research on that when I'm done here. Alright, I wanted to turn off the taxi lights, turn on the landing lights, turn the lights off in the cabin, so they just have, actually I'll show you what I'm doing. So if you come back here, you got all the lights on, see, nice and bright. I'm going to turn these guys off, and then you are left with just the reading lights for comfortable flight. See that? It's all modeled, might as well take advantage of it. If I had a stopwatch in here, I'd start the clock, which I think would be here, and then we would get our flight time. So I'm making a mental note to myself to start my time in real life here so I can see how long my flight time is. And again, fuel is not going to move. Oh yeah, so everything good out there. I like playing with these windows. I like playing with all the little things because they're there. Alright, we are ready to go. We'll get some speed, and then we'll do like we did last time. And I'm going to do flaps down 1, even though I don't think I need them. Flaps down, props forward. And I'm not watching where I'm going. And what we'll do, we'll get positive rate, gear up, flaps up, and then we'll just coast down the runway. There you go. Gear up. And flaps up. And we'll just kind of coast down the runway to get speed before we start climbing too much. We did this in the first leg too. It's a little trick I learned from pilots who take off in STOL aircraft that have plenty of space on the runway. You just kind of take advantage of that. And then, as soon as we are clear, we will engage autopilot, and we'll start our climb and our turn. And the reason why I did that is so now instead of climbing at 140, we're going to climb at our desired rate at 210, and then it'll slowly come down to 140. Just gives us a head start. I found out pilots do that in real life. So I don't know if that depends on certain aircraft. For example, I don't know if this aircraft can actually do that, but people do. And see, look at that. We're going 220 now, and we're climbing at our desired rate. So we'll be able to do that, and then eventually it'll come back down, and we'll settle in at 140 while we finish our climb. But now we get a huge head start. And well, there's Fargo-Moorhead area there. The river is between Minnesota and South Dakota. So small town stuff. People think Fargo's in Minnesota because of the television show or the movie or something, but it's not. It's in North Dakota. Let's look out this window here. There you go. See the cloud shadows on the ground? This is from the clouds. Alright, there you go. You can kind of see both states at once. And the two cities together. We just call it Fargo-Moorhead locally. And let's see, we have the engine management in a minute here, or else we are going to have some serious issues with starting on fire. So flaps are up, gears up. Let's see, let's come down here and start managing our engines. I want everything in the green. So bye 230 knots. That's going to go away, but we could probably keep the engines on a little longer full blast. But I don't want to start a fire if I can help it. So what we're looking at here is we've got green, 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 doesn't matter, and this I don't think is modeled. But we'll bring the props in a little bit, get them out of the red. There you go. And that is pretty much all there is to it. We're only 3.5 minutes away from our first waypoint. Then we're going to make a dog leg left, it looks like. And from there, I'll be able to tell the calculations we need for point of descent and all that. Let's see, I'm checking my checklist. See, everything's fine. So, I think we will have a look outside. Actually, I want to kind of enjoy this first. So that's kind of cool. Small town stuff. Got nice cloud shadows. We'll be going up and over the clouds. The cloud altitude right now, base at 10,000, tops at 12,000. going to fly at 16. So in fact, you can see the shadows way out there, farther than you can see the clouds. Well, let's have a look outside quick before I go through the clouds. All right, a lot of nothing. Rural Minnesota. Very rural Minnesota. You can see the airport back there. There's Fargo-Moorhead area. Fargo-Moorhead with the airfield there and the freeway coming out of it if you know where to look. The cloud shadows on the aircraft as well. That's kind of fun. Alright, we'll hop back inside here. A couple minutes yet till we get to our next waypoint. See, now we're starting to come down. See, now we'll catch up to 140, which is ideal climb rate as far as I know from looking it up anyway. I guess in ideal conditions at sea level you can climb 2,600 feet per minute, but I just do 22. I don't want to go too slow. Alright, we're about to enter the clouds here. But you can tell now that is SkyMaxx Pro, because see how puffy they are? I found default clouds to be flat. But here they're puffy. And then it'll regenerate the next set. And once it regenerates the next set, we'll be flying through the clouds and won't just stop here like this. We'll actually be able to fly through and see the rest of them. Entering the clouds now, and got some more small cities down there and some lakes off in the distance. That's pretty cool. There we go. I also like when you're going through the thin clouds, you can still see the ground. The default clouds just seem to be all or nothing. But very, very scattered clouds today, very few clouds. Other videos have featured overcast clouds, broken overcast, heavy overcasts, or heavy cloud cover, but not quite overcast, and then rainstorms last trip, the last leg we had here. Alright, we're making our turn now towards Minneapolis. It says 57 minutes on the GPS, but we're about to reach our cruising altitude, and once we do, we're going to gain speed and cruise about 220 or so, I believe we'll be able to do. So we'll be able to watch the speed come down in a hurry, which is kind of fun to do. Alright, so we're 1,000 feet away from our cruise altitude. This aircraft in real life, if you look at FlightAware when they do these legs with Marvin Windows, they cruise at 16,000. Unless there's bad weather, then they like 15,000 for some reason while they navigate the weather. We're getting pretty close. I did not hear the warning sound, so let's see if we actually come down. There it is. Okay, good. That makes me nervous. I've had issues in the past where Alt Select didn't select the altitude, and we cruise right through it. Now our time's coming down in a hurry. Losing minutes like seconds. I'll let that level off a minute here. There we go. I do have my drop distance cranked up, even though if you look in the distance you can see it's not sharp. That's an X-plane thing. I have everything set to max like that. 45 minutes. We're losing time like crazy, which is awesome. I'm actually going to come down here right away and set this to 7,000 because that's where we will need to be at Peyton. It's a short flight. As you can see, we're down to 40 minutes already. So then when we are between 6 and 7 minutes out, I'll reset autopilot to descend at 1,500 feet per minute. And I'm going to keep the speed up though, I'm not going to slow down. When this plane lands at MSP with the big guys, they go as fast as they can until they have to bleed off speed. So now we're picking up speed here. Should come down here and make sure everything's still in the green, which it is. I'll probably turn that up a little bit. I'm not sure what the ideal percentage is. I just know that as long as I stay in the green, the sim is happy. So let's just go like that. I could look all that stuff up. Of course, simming is what you make of it. Green, 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 no green, green, and not modeled. See, here says elapsed time and stuff, but I don't know. Alright. Well, we're still picking up time here. Alright, well, I need to fly for half an hour or so. This video won't be half an hour of sightseeing, but I will pop us outside for some sightseeing, and I will see you about 8 minutes before arrival of the next waypoint, which will be top of descent. I'm going to do one more thing first. I normally turn my landing lights off during the sightseeing part. I'm just going to do it right now. Alright, now we're set. Now we're stable. Time is stabilizing a little bit in terms of the estimated time. Enough talking, clouds are regenerated, and now it is time for some sightseeing. I'll see you in half an hour my time, a little less your time.